nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. Roll call. We have all board members present. The next item are board vacancy interviews. We're going to roll right into our interview schedule. I think everybody has the packet of who put in interest and their information, as well as how the process is going to work. When it comes time for the item in the agenda, I will explain that into the record on how we'll vote and so on.
All right.
Hello.
I'd like to introduce Emily Goki.
Emily.
Hello.
Very, very nice
Have a
to.
seat, and please feel free to have a glass. Thank you. Thank you.
We've allotted 25 minutes to each candidate. We're gonna try and kind of remain on the same schedule. The board has some specific questions, so hopefully it's a fair process for everybody. I'm gonna start out asking you, if you would, we do have your cover letter and resume, but if you would, just share a little bit about yourself, and that'll get us going at least.
Okay. Well, I'm Emily Goki. My husband Phil and I have lived here in North Muskegon for 7 years. We've got 3 kiddos at North Muskegon. My oldest daughter started middle school this year, and then I've got 2 boys in the elementary school in 4th and 2nd grade. I work from home part-time, providing professional admin support, and I care deeply about education, which is why I'm here today.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thanks for coming, Emily. It's always, I say this to everybody, but it's always nice. We've got 4 really nice applicants, and it's a great testament to our district that gets them. So thank you for applying and taking an interest. Speaking of interest, if you could kind of describe a little bit why you're interested in serving on the board and what appeals to you about it.
Sure. Well, I think like every parent, I care about my kids' education. And during the pandemic, I homeschooled for 2 years. And it was then that that interest or concern just really deepened. And I realized how formational education is and how important it is to provide a high quality education to our children. So this is our 2nd year back in the district after homeschooling. And I've had the privilege of working with a lot of the students. I'll come in and volunteer in my boys' classroom every week, and I've developed a concern for for my children, but our community. We're very lucky to be in a community with so many great families, and I care deeply for them. I just want to make sure that they have as high standards as we can provide them in their education.
Okay, in your view, what has the district done well over the last 5 years? What could we do better, and how do you envision your role in that change?
That's a good question. I think the district does really well in communicating with families. And I do think we have high standards at North Muskegon academically, and I love the community feel that we have. We're blessed with that with such a small community. My daughter's in orchestra, and she has received instruction from older high school students, and she's also given instruction to younger elementary students, and I think that's beautiful. So that's definitely a strength of our community. There's always opportunity for growth and for improvement. And I think from my perspective, I think a big challenge that faces our district and others is just technology and phones, especially in like the middle school, high school. And I think there's opportunity in the elementary master some of that reading and math. There's those basic phonics, basic math facts, mastering that at a younger age or appropriate age, but really mastering those building blocks. I see my role as working to supporting our faculty, our staff the best that I can. I'm not afraid to work. I don't know. I guess, can I ask a question of the board?
Absolutely.
Okay. So I'm not sure why this role is vacant or what their responsibilities were beforehand, but would the expectation of the board be for the new board member to take over those specific responsibilities?
I'll answer that. First of all, it was Dr. Mary Moulton who has resigned from the board. She was our vice president. She served in some various officer roles.
Mm-hmm.
It is not expected that you would replace that
Mm-hmm.
officer position. You would probably come in as a trustee. That could possibly change, but we're more a collaborative board. We have committees, and you will be assigned certain committees, and again, those change as needed. So that does allow some specific focus areas: personnel committee, finance committee, policy.
Mm-hmm.
So, but overall, it's a very generalized area of expertise you need to have. You'll be dealing with pretty much everything.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Okay.
And I did also, we will have more questions or more opportunity at the end for you to ask questions,
Oh,
but
okay.
don't hesitate
Thank you.
as one comes up.
What is your greatest strength that you would bring to the board?
I'm a good listener, and when I listen, I try to really understand what is being communicated and understand the heart of the issue, I suppose, or understand all sides.
Thank you.
Now over to this side. Describe your view of the roles of the school board and the superintendent. And what is your ideal relationship between these two offices?
Well, I've never served on a board of education before, but my understanding would be that the school board really is the governing body of the school. And so decisions are made here by this board, policies, and then it's the superintendent's responsibility to then, what's the word I'm looking for, implement those policies and oversee that taking place in the school. So I see, Dr. Babcock is here. It seems like there's a good working relationship with him and the board. He's in the school every day, so has a pretty, I'm hoping, good sense of what's happening there. And I'm sure can inform decisions that are made here in this room as well.
Thanks.
Describe your response if a parent approaches you, like at the grocery store, and asks you for your support on a particular issue or help with a situation involving a particular teacher. How do you see your role as a school board member in resolving that issue?
I'm guessing that all issues are collective, right? No one school board member has any sort of authority by themselves. Okay.
Correct.
Okay. Okay. So I would listen to what their concern was and try to understand what they were communicating, and then promise to bring that up at the next appropriate board meeting.
Good. Well, those are our kind of canned questions, but now we just want to open it up for any questions you might have of any one of us specifically or in aggregate for all of us, including Kurt, if you have any questions for Dr. Babcock.
Well, I suppose as a parent and candidate, but what are some of the priorities that you have right now as a board?
Who wants to take that one?
I'll say something and then you guys can play off of it. We just started a process to re-engage with our strategic plan, and we're hoping to be able to kick off next school year with a brand new strategic plan to help drive decisions and just kind of where we're going as a district. Focus areas, and you talked about several of them, are in student performance, fiscal responsibility, and then looking out for our students and actually our whole school community's social and physical well-being. Those are kind of the focus areas of it. A lot of different community members are involved with that, teaching some of our staff. So it's a good group kind of helping. You might have seen the survey that kind of got that kick-started. So I would say that one focus area right now is getting that in place. But I don't know if that springboards anyone else that want to add whatever they want.
I was gonna say, we do have a retreat in the summer where we spend a day kind of looking at the strategic plan, and the board has a lot of input into that. You know, as a board, you're not like day to day, right? So you're not gonna solve that person's issue that they have with a staff member in the grocery store. You're going to bring it to the appropriate people to do that. So it's something, you know, again, we as a board just ensure that Dr. Babcock and the administration and the teachers follow kind of what we've laid out collectively as meeting our goals, which align with them. You've said, of course, as a candidate.
We also do a sort of a board orientation meeting usually with the board president and Kurt to kind of go through, so you're not just jumping in to kind of get a feel for it. Because from the outside, none of us kind of get any real idea about what a school board member, and so there's a process that helps a new board member get up to speed, because it's not always clear from the outside exactly what board members do. And you know, what's at the meetings there's a lot that goes on that is not at the public meeting. So that takes a little while to get up to speed on that, but the board tries to help new members handle that.
And we have a new handy dandy binder that assists in that process now with educating a new board member, or actually any board member. Yeah.
And then we have a policy book.
Yeah.
And also, like, as far as like one of our priorities as a board, kind of going into and since the pandemic was, you know, looking at mental health, not only of our students, but, you know, staff as well, making sure that, you know, we're checking in with all kids and that's been a priority of ours for a while.
Another key priority right now, we just got out of the finance committee. Last November, we approved, or the community approved, renewal of you know, our millages and stuff, and it's raised a significant amount of money that this building needs. So we're working on new carpet, new paint, new, revitalizing an old building. And
Like
so
keep it charm.
That's right, please. Please don't take on.
That's one of the bullet points that gets driven home every meeting with the construction people.
Yep.
It's very special what we have here.
Any other questions? Anything else?
About how much time do you spend on your board member duties a month?
How much time do you have?
Okay, got it. Okay.
I do feel like it's been more lately, just because of strategic planning, but it's
Most board members are on
a
two.
week.
Most board members are on two committees that meet once a month. I think pretty much everybody's on at least two. And then officers are going to put in a little bit more time. There's prep work before board meetings, but you know that you got to read through things and make sure that you're educated on. But most of the time, if we're doing it right, you've already heard about it during committee meetings and had a chance to ask questions and that kind of thing. And so yeah, they would be able to give you a better idea on like the not like number of hours or whatever, but that's kind of some of the
It's
expectations.
not like being the president of the boosters, for example.
Okay.
Not putting in that kind of time, so, thank goodness for that, but it is.
And honestly, being a parent,
Mm-hmm.
you're already putting a lot of that time in. You're getting the Friday flyer, you're getting, you know,
Yes.
keeping up to
Informed.
speed on all that stuff is our responsibility too. You're right, kind of doing that. That was a little vague, but it's not overwhelming by any means. And you obviously are still welcome to participate in various other, you know, functions while also being a board president or a board member.
You're not giving up your seat already.
Are you trying to tell us something?
Short run in there.
What else?
I have one last question,
Absolutely.
and that is, what do you as the board wish that more parents knew or understood? Maybe about what you did or just what happens at the school?
So now how much time?
I was
do you have?
just thinking the same thing, I'm like, do I say it out loud?
We have about 5 minutes, so.
I think one of the big things for me is like it was already said earlier, there is a lot that goes on in committee meetings or other times that when they see just us at the board, you know, regular board meeting, they don't understand all the discussion and things that we've already maybe talked about that goes into any of our decisions. It's not just a snap decision.
Our committee meetings don't involve everyone on the board. It's divided up. There's not
3
a
board
quorum,
members.
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
at a
Okay.
time.
And then we'll bring in like certain staff, depending on what the topic is, like Jen or John, Mr. Allen might be in attendance at that. and,
Okay.
share his insight, and depending on what the topic is.
Okay.
A big help is there is a Michigan Association of Board Members, MASB, and they provide kind of a structure and we follow a lot of their, in fact, we're pretty well aligned with how they put out to manage a board and what the roles and responsibilities are. Plus they do a lot of courseware, so that would probably be the first thing you could jump into is, you know, what does school finance mean? What, you know, these are things you probably never dealt with. And I, as one, had never dealt with either before becoming a board member, so.
Yeah, those courses are great.
And in terms of what else do we wish parents or community members knew? I think it's just a matter of how involved they can be also in all the abilities they have to educate themselves about what's going on around here. Are they reading? You know, we had a lot of parents that things that were in the Friday flyer, they, you know, were up in arms that they didn't know about this. Well, it's been the Friday flyer for 4 weeks straight. Things like that. You know, you hope that they're informed to their level of need.
Yeah, you'll be called upon to answer questions, and it will be usually the community's great, right? So that's a testament. So there's typically no friction at all, and in fact, most community members thank you for your service. To the board.
Okay. I want to thank you very much. Like Will said, thank you for taking the time and the interest to be here. After all interviews are completed, we have some business to attend to that will include us selecting the next board member. So if you want to stick around, that would be great. And then whoever is selected at the end of our meeting will actually be swearing in. So they will be participating in next meetings.
Okay.
Not wasting any time.
Can't wait, I know.
Thank you
Well,
very much.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you.
Appreciate your time.
Yeah, thanks.
I will take one.
They're all in there. Yeah, just,
It's,
yeah, but it's just her.
no, Lisa is next.
Oh, there it is.
Yeah,
Never
there's
mind. I had-
the
they
order's
just
not,
stuck together.
doesn't
Never mind.
necessarily match with what's on there.
Oh, it doesn't?
That's okay.
Miss Lisa Shales.
Lisa, how are you?
And,
Well, how are you tonight?
and
Well,
just so the board knows, it looks like our order might have gotten a little bit messed up, so Lisa's information is
It's the,
the back one, the fourth one, sorry.
Lisa, first of all, thank you for A, expressing your interest, B, all your previous commitment to the school district and so on, and just want to thank you for putting it out there and being here today to put yourself out there to see if this is right. I'm gonna start out when everybody has a common question, that way we're kind of getting the same questions to everybody. Hope to finish up in about 20 minutes. There's time for you for some questions at the end, but if at any moment you've got a question for us, please feel free. With that, we do have your cover letter and resume in front of us. I would just ask you to start us out by sharing a bit about yourself, your experience, qualifications, that kind of stuff, and we'll go from there.
Well, I've lived in Muskegon for 27 years, 28. I should know, over 20 years, over 25 years. I love this community. I think it's very special. An ideal place to raise children. And I've taught for 32 years. I have experience in 2 school systems, so I have a unique perspective there. And particularly at the high school level, if that will benefit the board, I'm happy to help. And that's why I am doing this. I want to help, and I think the school is at the center of the community. And I also think that public education is the bedrock, the backbone of our country. That's why I got into education to begin with. And now that I'm retired, I can't quite step away. So I'm looking for another way to help. So I'm here to help you.
Thank you, Lisa. So you kind of answered the question that I get to ask, but why are you interested in serving on the board? If you want to kind of elaborate on it a little bit, and maybe what appeals to you most about it?
I want to give back to the community that did so much for my 2 children. You know, the size of the school system presents unique opportunities for students and a personalized approach, and both of my kids benefited from that. And as a parent, I love that their successes were celebrated, and when they struggle, there's always someone there that seemed to notice and help and redirect in a positive way. very special in that way. And I'd like to be a part of continuing that tradition.
Thank you. In your view, what has the district done well over the last 5 years? What could we do better, and how do you envision your role in that change?
The district does a great job at teaching to the individual in all sorts of ways. I think the biggest or the hardest thing for North Muskegon is also the best thing about North Muskegon is its small size. You have a lot of the same expenses that bigger schools have without the numbers for the per dean. So that's a challenge, and I know there's a lot of pressure, like why doesn't North Muskegon offer this class or this class or this class or this class? So I think your challenge is that you've had to pick your thing and do that well, and as a small school system can't do everything, and that's okay. Provide students with a foundation of skills, and they can go do that and later. They'll have the foundation to figure it out themselves. And you set students up to be lifelong learners. So as far as I answered what you did well, what
and
you
just
don't do well, or what you need to improve, I think some of it is beyond your control. And I don't really have an agenda, like, I want to fix this and this. I was just telling Kim, my kids went to Jane, Kim's mom, for daycare, so I know Kim from way back. Asking how old her kids were in middle school, and they were talking about cell phones, and I never had to raise my kids with cell phones. And I'm sure that's a challenge. That was a challenge. It's a challenge everywhere. So your challenges are the same challenges society has. So.
Okay. What do you view as the greatest strength that you would bring to the board?
32 years of public education. And again, I think it's really important. And I also have a perspective of what things look like at the high school level. So curriculum, and I understand what policies look like in the classroom day to day. I've got a lot to learn. Big believer in the balanced budget. I don't have the accounting math. Well, I have some math skills, but not the accounting skills. I'm a good listener. I'm a really good listener. I'm good at collaborating and working together with people to get work done. I'm good at helping groups find some consensus on the department level. I was a department head for several years with, some upheaval. So listening, collaboration, I like charts and data and graphs. I'm good at graphs. And I also understand that behind those graphs there are people and stories and lives. For a while, early 2000s, late 2000s, I don't know when it was. They're talking about schools as businesses. And I agree with the financial responsibility part of that, but we're not a business. we're here to help kids, right? They're our future.
Great, thanks, Lisa. So describe your view of the roles of the school board and the superintendent, and really what is the ideal relationship between the two?
We're here to help. So I've been doing reading because this is the part of education that I'm not familiar with or as. I know that school board members are not micromanagers. We're here to be representatives of the community and be good stewards of tax dollars as they come to us, and make sure laws and regulations are followed. So that's as much as I've got right now. I'm anxious to learn more, but here to help and support and be positive in the community.
So, can you describe your response if you're at Meijer, walking your dog, doing something like that, and someone asks for your support on a particular issue or has a complaint about a specific teacher? How do you see your role as a school board member in resolving that issue?
Good question. I know it'll happen. Have you talked to the teacher? Yes, and let's start by talking to the teacher. Then there's a procedure. Then talk to the principal. Talk to your child, and I think it's very helpful to get all parties in the child, parent, teacher in the same space. So stories. So that's where I would start. And then I took that to the rest of my board. If they said they've already done that and are frustrated, then steps are taken.
Well, good. That's our last of our canned questions, but we'd like to open it up for a little more discussion and answer any questions you might have of any of us specifically, including Dr. Babcock, or just about board roles, responsibilities in general. Whatever questions you have, we have 10 minutes. Yeah.
Okay. I'm always really bad at this part of the interview because I always am anticipating the questions you're going to ask. And I didn't come with any prepared. I just thought of one. What are books to read? How do you learn to be
I'll talk a
school
little
board
bit about
member?
the
What are you
process
looking for?
and resources, and then maybe Kurt or Ben, being one of our newest board members, can talk about something. But we have just put together kind of a new board member, I don't want to call it an orientation book, but a guide, a meeting guide for, you'll have meetings with Kurt and a board member, maybe many times me, but just talking about the structure. What are the committees and when do they meet and what do they talk about? What are our meetings, and we have strategic plan. What's all that about, and how are we constantly evolving that? There's a lot of different ways that you will get orientation, if we want to call it that word. I think that's very short-sighted word. But then there's things, Ben went through some classes, the Michigan.
You are
And Lisa's
talking
had-
like I am not an award-winning board member.
You're like-
You were there when I got my award.
These two have gone through
I
some,
remember that now from the last meeting.
yeah. And maybe either one of you could,
Yeah, we started about the same time, or the same time.
Yeah.
Right, 2 board seats opened up right away, so Lisa and I have gone through the MASB, which is the Michigan Association of School Boards, and they do a lot of curriculum, a lot, and Lisa jammed through it and got certified. I'm like that close, but it's actually really good because it boils it down to each kind of aspect of school board responsibility and what you're responsible for, what you aren't responsible for. So, you know, school finance, like you probably have no idea like what that is in the back end. If you do, you got a leg up, but I do.
No, I just,
And
I'm good, I'm good at the family budget.
Yeah, right.
I'm sure this is more complex.
So, Lisa.
So.
Yeah, oh, go
Go
ahead.
ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say there are classes like school law, like what you absolutely can and can't do, and they're just, like, they don't take a long, I don't know, maybe an hour each.
Well, I guess that's what, so, I don't have any of that experience, and I'm just starting to read in the last couple of months. Is that okay, or would you need someone who's more
I
prepared?
don't think anybody.
No.
I
think anybody
knew
prepared.
about anything when you joined up for this meeting.
nobody has expressed that they have previous
Okay.
school board experience. And we understand that. I don't think any of us did when we joined this board.
I did my second time.
Yes. That's why I think of you as an older board member.
So, you know, Mary's a lawyer. Then that will be a big hole. I'm not gonna go get a law degree.
Specific team members on this board, you know, we have Will as a lawyer, but,
But I'm not the school board. I mean, the school's got lawyers.
Yeah.
You don't.
the school board works in a very collaborative way. We don't expect any one board member to be an expert of any
Okay.
one thing. You will be assigned, you will be on committees, and in those committees, you will get more in-depth into certain things. Will, Ben, and I are on the finance committee. We spent a good amount of time today going over a whole bunch of bid packages for things that are gonna be done around the school. Not everybody on the board has to do that, but we need, you know, that's what committees are for, to do the major legwork. Policy committee, personnel committee. But we work collaboratively. We don't expect you to come in with a,
There we
Oh
go.
my gosh, I'm sorry.
I'm getting a call.
Oh, is it
No,
you?
Oh, I
no,
thought that
said-
was the timer going on.
No, no.
She's done.
Good sense of humor.
Yeah,
So
right
sorry.
at the time the phone rang.
For sure. 4 minutes.
Mine was silent.
That's my alarm sound and it like made me panic.
Yeah, that's the office phone, but I'm not at the office.
What other questions you have, Lisa? Was that satisfactory?
Yeah, that's satisfactory. I was wondering if you were looking for a specific.
Yeah, we're looking for somebody that's got a medical degree and a
And
law
a
degree.
degree, yeah.
And so-
And 16
And
years
18 years of board experience.
I don't have any questions. I'm just happy to have the opportunity.
And we appreciate you expressing an interest and willingness to join this board. If you don't, we can move on to the next
All
one.
right.
Thank you very
Thank you very
much.
much, Lisa.
Need one.
Yeah, grab a,
Have a good night.
Oh,
Oh, we got
Lisa,
Lisa. Whoop.
after all interviews are done, we're gonna come back and we have to have this done in an open meeting. We will select the board member relatively upfront in the agenda. And then we would ask that person to stick around through the meeting. to be sworn in at the end of the meeting, so tonight.
I'm gonna take that one.
We hope in a half hour we'll be getting into,
Yeah.
or a little more than that.
Okay, thank you.
Courses I still have to take. I have it on my agenda, but I know. I better at least get it done. Right, yes. I just, otherwise, I could have done it. No time.
Everyone, welcome Lisa Potts.
Welcome.
Hello.
Welcome. Lisa, as you're kind of understanding while you're waiting out there, we all have kind of come up with a common question that we're asking each candidate. That way we're getting on topic of, the same topics with everybody. And then if you ever have any questions during the interview process, please raise them. We'd be happy to answer them. Otherwise, at the end of the time period, we'll ask you if there are any more questions you might have.
Okay.
That being said, I would just ask you, we do have your cover letter and resume. I'd just ask you to talk a little bit about your background, your experience, your desire for this position.
Certainly. I'm Lisa Potts. I am affiliated with North Muskegon because I have two students. My daughters are in 3rd grade and 8th grade, although she would say she's basically a high schooler. Yeah, I mean, she is almost there. And so we've been at North Muskegon since Ella was in kindergarten, and so that's kind of my tie to the school. I have worked in a number of different volunteer aspects with the school since Ella was in kindergarten, working in the classrooms, kindergarten all the way up, and even in middle school and high school activities, and have been involved with the elementary PTO, music boosters, and with different choir and orchestra activities, including fundraising for the Pops show. It's coming up
Really
couple days. So I've been involved and seen a lot of what goes on at the school in that way. My professional background is I got my doctorate of pharmacy degree at the University of Michigan, and then did 2 years of residency training. It's very similar, but smaller than what physicians do to do clinical work, and then worked as a clinical pharmacist at the Cleveland Clinic for 6 years, and then moved here and established a practice at Orthopedic Associates of Muskegon. We created a brand new position treating osteoporosis in the community. So those are kind of my professional, and through my professional career, especially at the Cleveland Clinic, which is a teaching hospital, I taught at the medical school there. I gave lectures, I precepted, and so I've always been very involved with teaching, mentoring, college and doctoral level students, and then kind of working with the elementary kids here. My other job is Girl Scout leader, and I have been a North Muskegon Girl Scout leader for 7 years for both of my girls, and that's been also a very fulfilling job.
Thank you.
Thank you. So to kind of follow up on that, why are you interested in the board, and sort of what appeals most about being on the board?
You know, the thing that I, look at is I just would welcome the opportunity to further serve the students of North Muskegon. I have just really been impressed with North Muskegon as a whole. The academic and extracurricular activities that my kids have been able to be involved in are amazing, and I've tried to support that in a number of different ways. And I look at, sitting on the board as another opportunity to really support the students on a grander level, to be able to touch all of the students and support the students and the staff, because the school is what makes productive members of society and our community, and really benefits not just our students, but really the North Muskegon community as a whole. I'm from my work, we recruit, and I'm often the North Muskegon side of the North Muskegon versus Spring Lake fight that happens, and it's just really amazing to be able to tout all the amazing things that we have in this really small community, and I'd love to be able to support that more.
Perfect. Thank you.
In your view, what has the district done well over the last 5 years, and what could we do better, and how do you envision your role in that change?
I think over the last 5 years, what challenges there have been over the last 5 years. I think what the school has done very well is, continue to offer these amazing opportunities. I think that is just the thing that really is unique to North Muskegon, and continuing to offer these great opportunities as a small school. Being flexible and, kind of listening to the community, and that has been something that has been a major need, especially through the COVID years and the difficulty with all of that. So I thought that was handled very well. I think that the board has made, and the administration has made a number of very good staffing changes. I think, walking around the school, I think that there's really amazing teachers there, principal in both schools. I think that's really great. I would love to be able to support that and help that, especially now. I think it's a great time because of all of the changes that are happening with the building updates that are available, and the bond that's going to pass real soon, and to support growing those things, continuing to recruit and to maintain the really excellent staff and administration that we have.
Any challenges that
Oh,
you see that
yeah,
we
sorry.
didn't handle well? Sorry, I'm going to put you on the spot for that one.
Yeah, that's okay. I think the challenge is always funding a small school to do big school things. That's a challenge, and I think some of that is coming, but I love the small school, but then you kind of go to neighboring schools and you look around and think, wow, like look at this, beautiful new this or that. And so I think it's a balance, but the funding is the challenge. I think for students, especially since COVID, the social emotional piece has been a challenge that we have seen, dealt with, difficulty dealing with. So I think growing that could help our students reach, more their individual potential better.
Thank you.
bring to the board?
I think the strength that I add is my ability to kind of look at big picture. I tend to be a big picture person, but I'm also a pharmacist by training, so we're very meticulous as well. But kind of look at the big picture, just coming from, academic settings, my job is to evaluate literature, specific patient information, to take in, specific situations, the positives, the risks and the benefits that, of different things, and come to a reasonable consensus knowing that there's kind of plus and minus on each side. I think I tend to do that with a, fairly level head and kind of consideration on each side.
Okay, over here. Hi, Lisa.
Hi.
Describe your view of the roles of the school board and the superintendent. How do you really see this, the ideal relationship between the two?
So I think that, the school board obviously sets, kind of the overall policy, hiring and finding, a very capable person as a superintendent. I believe in the idea of finding and hiring, the best people, so that, they can lead and, kind of do their thing, with more minimal guidance, but guidance, so kind of, hiring, people who are smarter and, better at the job than you are, and giving them the tools and, guidance and things that they need to excel at that.
So how would you respond if you were at Meyer walking your dog and someone comes up to you and asks for your support on a specific issue or brings up a problem with a specific teacher? What do you think your role is in responding to them?
Yeah, I'm sure that happens quite a bit. So I think, the role of the school board is not specific issue things on, a general day-to-day basis. I think people always like to be listened to, but then, I think as a board member, that's why you kind of hire really great superintendents and principals, and so, kind of listening and, bringing things to the attention of the appropriate staff, but, keeping out of the day-to-day topics of that, yes.
Okay, well, that's kind of it for our canned questions, but we'd like to open up to a little more dialogue.
Okay.
Starting with whatever questions you might have of us, the role, anything, including Dr. Babcock if you had specific.
Yeah, so, I guess, my question's about the position. What do you see as the biggest challenge upcoming to the district?
Okay, I think we can all jump in on that in a little regard, but certainly for us, and for any board member, I think it's the ability to balance a whole bunch of balls that are in the air at any one time. You don't have to be a perfect juggler, but you have to know what's going on and be involved with committee meetings and full board meetings with email discussions that we might have, just to be involved and understand all that is going on with this wonderful place we call NMP. In terms of challenges, there's lots. Things that come to mind, we're spending a lot of time renovating, the bond that went through last November. There's a lot of work being done, and it takes an active board to be able to make sure we're spending the community's money very wisely and appropriately, and making the most impact out of the dollars we do get. We're a small district. We can't have every club in the world like a Spring Lake, Mona Shores, whatever, but where can we make the most impact is a huge challenge for us, always. And I'd open it up to anybody else.
Well, I'd say that it's always a challenge. It's maybe not the next biggest one, but it's also immediate, the May 7th vote, making sure that the community and the parents and everybody understands where we are, what's happening, how it came to be this way, and what we're actually asking. It's been a challenge with this, but it's been a challenge to communicate other things before that, and it'll be a challenge to communicate appropriately moving forward. But I think that is a big challenge to make sure people really have the right and accurate information.
I think you talked about sort of big picture, you sort of see yourself that way. And one of the things that's changed, since I was in school, and even probably since I've been on the school board, is that the schools are just asked to do more and more things and to play a bigger role in society regarding health and wellness and social issues and so forth, that schools didn't take a particularly active role. I obviously had a role in it, but that's changed a lot, and balancing the various priorities that we have to deal with is a real challenge for schools. And then you balance out resources and technology and all those other things that sort of interact with that. You sort of find yourself being pulled in lots of different directions. And when we have a retreat every year, we do our strategic planning, trying to balance all that sort of things, all that stuff that we're asked to do. There's always more you wish you could do. You wish you could do, 125% of everything instead of just 100%. So that's to me is sort of the big picture challenge that has been almost 20 years, 18 years, or whatever it's been on the board. It's changed a lot. That's going to continue to change.
What other questions might you have?
How do you, feel like you stay on the, kind of pulse of what's going on within the school? Not getting into the, people coming up to admire, and,
No
yeah.
different than you're going to as a parent. You're going to be involved. You're going to be on clubs. You're going to be, other boards, involved with POPs. You're going to be talking to people a lot. You're going to have the pulse. But within the board, then there still is a lot of communication also, maybe at a little different level. But committee work, all of that. Weekly emails from Kurt just updating us on what's going on. The principals clue us into their staff communications. You always have the Friday flyer and so I think it's pretty easy to keep up with the pulse, but it takes an effort, just like you're gonna have as a parent.
Yeah, and even with, those of us whose children have graduated, I still feel involved because we get all those different communications still. We get extra communication from the principals, and, we're still out there doing stuff too. So I don't find that as a difficult part of it at all.
Yeah, I was going to say, add on to that with those who have kids in school, you have a couple holes in there. It's like, anything interesting happened at school today? Kind of a loaded question, but those are fair game, right? So you can kind of.
Never worked for me, but sure.
How was school? Fine.
Yeah. Anything happen today? Nope.
No. I mean, like, did your grandma come in and read to the classroom? Oh, yeah, that.
Yeah, right.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, oh, yeah.
Very cool grandma, by the way.
If nothing more, we have one more candidate to interview.
Okay.
What we would ask is that if you could and would, stick around. Once that's done, we will go into the rest of our agenda. Near the beginning, we will go through a process to select our next board member.
Okay.
And after that, we have a pretty big meeting to attend, but once we figure out who that is, we're gonna ask that person stick around to the end of the meeting, and they will be sworn in as a member before this board meeting's over, so.
All right. Well, thank you very much for
Thank-
the opportunity.
Thank you very much, appreciate
Thank you for being
your interest. Different.
That's a public, so knowing that you're coming.
Oh, really? No, sorry, I just assumed have them sit on there.
Just signing off.
Miss
Good
Kimson,
luck.
how? Hello. Sorry, I'm diabetic, so I have to have my phone with me in case my alarm goes off, because my sugars keep dropping today, so I apologize if it goes off.
Understood.
You have snacks in your pocket or anything?
I,
As
okay,
needed?
yeah,
Okay.
I'm good.
I got a lifesaver.
I'm good right now. Thank you.
First of all, thank you
Yes.
for your interest in joining this board and all your previous involvement in the school, which is tremendous.
It's my honor.
So I guess right there with that, we all kind of have some questions we want to ask that are common for everybody, so we're hearing the same dialogue or questions being answered. And then if you ever feel you have any questions of us, ask at any time.
Okay.
At the end, we definitely will ask you what other questions you have. So
Okay.
that being said, we have your cover letter and your resume. But I'd just like to open it up to you to talk a little bit about your experience, your background.
Sure.
And we'll go from there,
Okay.
see how it goes.
Okay. Well, I think most of you know, I have twins that are in 6th grade, and they are the class of 2030. I am a graduate with class of 91, and my mom is a graduate with class of 70. So we have a deep-rooted history here in North Muskegon. I have worked in the school system. I worked at Muskegon Public Schools in the special education department as a physical therapist assistant for 12 years until my children were born. And then they were born early and had some needs, and I was lucky enough to be able to stay home with them. And since they have joined the school system, I have volunteered as much as possible wherever I can to support them and support the staff. And we have been involved in the music department, the athletic department, in the classrooms, wherever we can. As the class of 2030, they are a unique bunch of kiddos, and having this opportunity to be a part of the board gives me the confidence experience that I can make sure that every opportunity for every kiddo, not just for Class 2030, but for all the grades, I feel like it's my responsibility to take every opportunity I can. So I'm looking forward to this opportunity.
Thank you, Kim. And so you kind of hit on it a little bit, but my question is, why are you interested in serving on the board, and what appeals to you most about it?
Well, like I stated, like grasping every opportunity I have to be a part of the students' education and making sure that, like it's being part of the board is a huge responsibility. And I am feeling like there is like a shift happening, like I'm part of the Norse Education Foundation, and there is, you know, a shift happening of families who have been involved that now their children are no longer part of the system anymore. And it's like a new group of parents stepping up and accepting that role. And I am willing to step up and accept that role. I'm sorry, can you repeat the other part of the question?
Sure, and what appeals to you most about being on the board?
I think just having a dynamic part of the future of North Muskegon and continuing that educational excellence and being a part of the future. And like with technology that's happening, like there's so many dynamic things occurring, and being a part of that change is exciting to me. And being in a role where you're working as a team to continue the growth of North Muskegon. Like I said, I have this huge amount of history with North Muskegon. There's a huge piece of tradition, but there's also growth that needs to happen, that you need to get a little uncomfortable outside of your tradition and outside of what has happened in the past with the history, and like creating and blazing a new path as well while respecting that history.
Mine has a couple parts, but
okay.
In your view, what has the district done well over the last 5 years?
Mm-hmm.
What could we do better, and how do you see your role in that change?
I think we have always expected excellence out of our students and pushed our students. I appreciate that, and I want to continue that. Sorry, can you repeat the questions again?
Just things we've done well in the past 5 years, things that maybe we could have done better, and how you see yourself in
I
those
think
changes.
a communication piece is something that is always important to continue working on. And I know that's a responsibility of individuals as well to communicate with the board. I just think that no matter what organization you're with, it's always important to keep communication growing and going. Sorry, I'm super nervous and I can't remember. The third part of your question.
Oh, just how do you envision your role in, a change that we would make, or, in meeting a challenge like that?
I think communication with the staff and with the community, and I appreciate the surveys that go out. I know it's unfortunate that not as many numbers come back as would be most beneficial, but I think that whole theme of communication and talking and understanding what everybody is looking for, so that as a board you can be proud that you're moving forward with the support of community and the staff.
Okay, thank you.
Kim, what is your greatest strength that you would bring to the board?
I think I'm approachable. I feel that I have built good relationships in the elementary school just by being present. I volunteer in the library once a week, and so I've gotten to know staff outside of who has been my children's teachers, and that goes from like custodian to lunchroom to all areas. I feel that I'm a good listener to things that are going on, but I can be, honest, like I'll listen, but then I'll also provide information that not necessarily will change their minds, but will give them a different perspective to consider.
Thank you.
It's up to me. All right, so describe your view of the roles of the superintendent and the school board, and kind of what do you see as the ideal relationship between those two offices?
I believe like the school board and the superintendent are teammates. I think the school board, creates and implements policies and procedures that the superintendent is responsible for carrying out through as like the leader of the teachers. Also, both the school board and the superintendent are public figures within the community and need to be available for questions and answers, and just being a good representative of North Muskegon, being a Norseman at all times.
That's a good segue into Lisa's
Great.
question.
So if you're at Meyer or your kid's sporting event and someone comes up to you and asks for your support on a specific issue or has a problem with a specific staff member, how do you see your role as a board member in responding to that?
I would say that I would love to listen to their concerns, but that a public place like Meyer or a field is not the right place to be having that discussion. But making sure that they know that I'm, willing to listen and set up a time to have that conversation.
All right, that is pretty much it for our canned questions. But we want to have a little more dialogue and certainly answer any questions you might have.
Sure.
So, what questions do you have of us? And that includes Dr. Babcock as well.
Well, one concern as like for the middle school is like cell phone use. So I guess I'm interested in understanding like the role of the board with like implementing things. Like I guess like the rules of the school, like is that something like the board can do, or is that more like a principal? Like I guess that relationship between.
I would say the role of the school board is to thoroughly discuss, vet out what issues are there, and then probably our policy committee would provide recommendations and discussion, and maybe it's public forums, and we establish a policy, and then it's going to be up to superintendent, building principals on how effective we implement that policy. But it's a very, very good question, and it's one of many issues that the school board is always being presented with.
The nice thing is we don't live in a bubble. There's other school boards and other school systems in the state, right? We belong to the Michigan School Board board system and as an association. And they have a lot of recommendations for policy, so we don't have to reinvent the wheel. This is what works. And those things tend to find their way into our policy manuals, which of course the school board then can vet out, like Steve said, and ultimately approve. So yes, we do play an active role in that.
Just on the parent level, they have been cracking down on this side of the building. My girls are very unhappy about it. So that is something that is being addressed.
On the big picture side of that, though, that's always an interesting type, where does sort of the school boards, at certain levels, it doesn't become a school board issue. Where's,
Right.
Where's that line? And it's not
Yeah.
a hard and fast line. It's something like, we discuss those kind of issues at, we've got our committees, and then we also have our annual board retreat, and we talk about long-term planning and strategic planning and things like that. And so exactly where that line is always interesting. Both Lisa and Ben have recently gone through our, there's a school board sort of online courses that you can take that help you kind of figure out what this role of a school board member is versus the administration and where those sorts of lines, because it's certainly not always clear from the outside. What does a school board member do?
Right.
On those sorts of issues.
But you used a good term earlier, Kim, that it's a team. The board members had talked about committees. In the committees, the administration is giving information as much as we are listening to the board members and what they're hearing, and so there's a exchange of information. And I would just add to some of the things that they've said, that when the rubber meets the road, the school board approves the handbook, the policies, that's what they do. So a lot of dialogue could have gone up, through a phone procedure or whatever, but in the end, the board is going to be the one that has the final say if this is how we're going to expect things are carried out by the administration. So that word team, we're spot on.
So committees, like how are those formed?
Usually,
January.
we have an organizational meeting where we have to accomplish a number of things. Set the office or group, set the meetings, the schedule of meetings, set the committees, because committees can change and have changed, but for the most part, those are continual. We're always probably gonna have a finance committee meeting.
Sure.
And that's, at that time, we try and establish who's on each committee, splitting the workload kind of evenly among everybody, and interest level. Some people have more interest in this committee than these committees, so we try and work it that way. Am I missing anything?
Oh, you nailed it. We do try to play off strengths a little bit. We have a policy committee, academic affairs, finance, and personnel. I think I nailed them all, right?
Negotiations.
Negotiations kind of fits in with finance, and then we
City
also
school.
we have a special one for North Muskegon City School partnership. So we do kind of break up the group on kind of where they're at, well, like Steve said, where their interests are, where their skill sets are. Somebody that doesn't care at all about finances would probably be a bad board member to have on the finance committee meeting, or finance committee. So that's kind of how we do it.
Anything else? Okay. First of all, again, thank you for taking
Thank
the
you guys
time and
for all
putting
your
yourself out here.
time.
It's not the easiest chair to sit in.
Obviously, since I couldn't remember the questions being asked of me.
From here, we're gonna go into more of a normal board meeting. The first item in the new business, which is after some agenda items, is gonna be the process for selecting our next board member. If you can and would, we'd love to have you stick around for that. And then the person we do select, we're gonna ask that they stick around to the end of the agenda at which time they're gonna be sworn into the board. We're not asking them to make decisions today,
Right.
but we want them on our board and ready for the next board meeting, so that's how this process is gonna work.
Sounds good. Thanks, Steve.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, everybody.
Are you feeling okay?
I'm sorry.
Are you feeling okay?
Yeah.
Yeah, snaggle one.
Eat a few Mentos.
We will take just a quick recess. Well, if anybody wants to use the restroom right now. Let the public women.
Public know that we're.
We are still live. Paul, you wanna?
Yeah, we don't need to.
Audio's still running, the camera battery
But you're
died.
just taking care of the batteries right here,
Oh,
The very last of the Q&A.
but there's one right
Good time to switch it.
And then see where.
Does it make sense to move? Do we move the presentation? On the agenda? Or is that short or what?
I'm assuming it's gonna be short, but, that might look like. Yes, Paul, can you mute us or something?
Moving again, there are two changes to the agenda I do want to make. We're going to move the new business item 589, appointment of new board member, to right after our committee reports and prior to the presentation. So, and then we'll do the presentation and go back to new business. And then we're also adding an item. You all should have gotten the email regarding adding an item for early graduation. And that will be item 4.22.24, 597. Okay. Back to our agenda. We're on approval of the consent agenda. That was in your packet.
I move that we approve consent agenda for this evening's meeting.
Support.
We have a motion and support. Is there any questions? Discussions? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
And any opposed, nay. Meeting carried, or the motion carries. Public comments. Would anybody like to address the board?
Yes, I would. Clayton Lowe, 913 Molden Avenue. Know that there's a millage coming up, and I just want to let you know that how information becomes, as you in a timeline, how fast it can move. And this is this is a story of Washington University soccer coach, 2017. This was a study. Her soccer players, she noticed, were coming down with cancer. So she got people to do a study. 53 of them had cancer. She found out that it was through the crumb rubber. The Washington State Department of Health said, yeah, this study, but we do see that there's like crumb rubber and there's PFAS, but we don't think it is bad enough. Now we go to, this story is March of 2024. Now she has almost 300 women who played soccer for her at the University of Washington. She was on the national soccer team as a goalie. She has noticed in the studies that it's her goalies, because they're the ones who were practicing all the time on the field and getting the crumb in them. The crumb rubber is a whole separate from the PFAS plastic field, artificial field, turf field. So from 2017 to 2024, that's how fast information changes. To the point where the state of the health department has changed their stance. I'm not going to say they've changed their wording, so they're not as much as responsible as they thought they were. 400,000 pounds of crumb rubber and artificial turf field. Every 10 years, you got to rip it out, put another field in. I'm hoping whoever does this, where this money is coming from, because $1 million spent, that's a lot of money to spend in this school district. Now you go to Philadelphia, the other side of the country, and this story is from a reporter from The Guardian, which is a reputable place for getting information. Their study shows athletes who play on artificial turf are likely to be coated with higher levels of toxic PFAS, which are called forever chemicals, than before playing on the field. New research suggests raising more questions about the controversial material safety. All artificial turf is made with what public health advocates said is a dangerous level of PFAS. We're going to be testing, last week the EPA came out. We're going to be doing, they've made the states, the water supplies, so, ours comes from Muskegon, test for 6 different PFASs. There's over 400 out there. But they're going to make them test for 6 to see what's flowing into Bear Lake, Muskegon Lake, Lake Michigan. So I've got a feeling that's going to probably raise our water bill, because it's going to come from City of Muskegon. I don't think they'll test for free. It says, when the highly mobile chemicals break off from plastic grass blades, it can be absorbed through the skin, inhaled, ingested, or get an open wound. Beyond increasing plastic pollution in our environment, artificial turf has been shown to add to our growing extreme heat problems in a climate-challenged world. Studies show that artificial turf gets dangerously hot, which I had talked to at information meeting. Your field can go from 120 to 200 degrees. You're going to put kids on that field in August, and I asked about the artificial turf soccer field. It's not going to be watered. It needs to be watered, but it's not going to be watered. My boss played at Fair State on artificial turf field. He said in August when they were practicing, it was so hot, your feet were burning up. Plus, taking the rubber crumbs out of your body, taking them home, taking them back to the locker room, taking them back to your dorm. While natural grass rarely rises above 100 degrees, even on the hottest days, Brigham Young study found that surface temperatures of the synthetic turf was 37 degrees higher than asphalt, 86.5 degrees higher than natural turf. This worsens heat islands because what happens, artificial turf is a heat island. All it does is generate heat. It doesn't generate anything else. The ground underneath becomes sterile. You can't grow anything for years on that thing. Nothing. Worms, nothing goes through there. It's just a heat island. European Union has 2025, they're banning all artificial turf. And most of it is because of climate change, except the Netherlands, which is banning it right now. They're tearing all their artificial turf off, they're going back to grass. Your FIFA soccer, it's gonna all be played on grass in the United States. They said if you're gonna play on an artificial turf field at a football stadium in the United States, you better put a grass field on top of that artificial turf, or we'll just find another facility. So,
Mr. Lowy, 5 minutes.
Okay.
If you could finish
Okay.
up, please.
So, I've hauled your kids around for 20 years. I did sports boosters. I was a Cub Master for 11 years. I did Boy Scouts. All I want is your children safe. And I'm trying to figure out what level of PFAS is safe. I'm just going to say no level is safe for our children. And I don't have any children here. They're all grown up. So I mean, thank you for your time. And I do appreciate what you folks did for the millage, because the school does need help. I mean, it does need work. It's an old building that has good bones. And it you know, if you want to keep a building nice, you spend the money. And the people in North Muskegon do that. They spend the money for buildings and for education. So, thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else that would like to address it? Okay, we will move on to committee reports. First off, Finance Committee.
Thanks, Steve. We met earlier today and went over a couple of different things. We went through 3 bids that are in the packet tonight for approval for asbestos, flooring and carpet and some painting. And so we talked about those, and there's recommendations, and Finance Committee approves those recommendations. We talked about a van that we had talked about earlier that we're going to go out for rebids on. We should know that by next meeting, hopefully, what goes on there. We also had a water heater issue that needed to be replaced, and so on an emergency basis, that's been taken care of.
After today, it will be.
Or after today, it will be.
Yeah, it's working. I mean, it's working, but not. It's a Band-Aid right now.
Yeah, so we're getting that.
It's an agenda item later.
Right.
I do not have it on my agenda, do I?
It's in the finance packet.
But it's not,
it's not on
because of under emergency, it doesn't have.
Yeah, it's right. This is an emergency one, so you guys want, so I don't know if you want to kind of.
Sure.
Just a little bit more on that, because you guys approved it, right?
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
I mean, after talking with you guys, yeah.
Right.
So how it works with emergency, failure of a unit in the building, you don't have to wait for the next board meeting, you don't have to necessarily, go through the full bidding process. You still have balances and checks to make sure you're not getting taken advantage of. We went through all those, processes, and we've updated the finance committee.
Right.
So that work can get going, so we don't lose water in the building.
Right. Thank you. And then after that, we went through just some minutes and our financial statements, the credit cards, and got an issue where we're starting to actually spend some money from the bond project. So there's been some improvements, like has been mentioned. So all good things are moving forward on that front. That was it.
Okay. Academic Affairs Committee.
I got it.
Well, I actually don't have my notes with me, but I know we did, we received some updates on a couple of student issues. I think that really was the majority of the meeting.
And the bond update, just because it seems
And
like
the-
that's what we
yes,
have to do it
of
every
course.
time
And the
we
bond
get together
update.
anyway.
And no student reps to
I don't think so.
Well, there's a presentation.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, now we are gonna move on to new business item 4.22.24, 589. Appointment of a new board member. We have 4 people here who have gone through a process. I want to talk a little bit about the process and then go into our selection process. A couple weeks ago, I don't know the exact dates, we had a resignation we put out for the opportunities to submit interest in joining the board. We had 4 people submit their interest, and we, during this meeting, gone through an interview process. At this time, I'm going to ask if any board member has anything they would like to discuss, and this must be done in open meeting.
I guess the only thing I would like to say is, like, we have 4 great options, and this is a terrible choice because there are 4 great options.
I would very much echo that, and I appreciate all 4 of you for taking the time to go through this. Stinks that it'll only be one person, but it's something we have to do, so. Okay, if there's no other discussion, the process we're gonna use to select the next member of the board. Each board member has a ballot in front of them, and they will select their first pick and second pick in that order on that ballot. Every first pick will get 2 points, and every second choice will get 1 point. You need to have your names on the ballot. That will be read into public record, and the names that you select and how you select them as either a first pick or a second pick. Okay. The highest point receiver will be our new board member. If there is a tie, another vote will be taken, with each member getting 1 vote. This will be done until the tie is broken, with any discussion prior to voting being done in public session. So with that, I'd like everybody to take the ballot, fill it out. Christy can.
It's a ballot.
Right. This country has taught me anything.
Who's doing the tail?
I just heard people that, I didn't finish writing my name.
I got it.
She ripping it.
So just so you guys are aware of what I'm gonna do as I'm doing this, whoever your first choice is got 2 points. I'm gonna write 2 tick marks down as I'm going through these, okay? And then your one choice, the 1 tick. Make sense?
Makes sense.
Okay. Mrs. B, first choice, Emily Goki. Second choice, Kim Senkow.
I think.
Oh, I read that wrong. I'm so sorry. I'm sorry, I did the first one wrong right from the get-go. I'm sorry, Kim is first choice, Emily is second choice.
Do you need to check that to make sure that's how you wanted it? Now be the time.
No.
I
No,
just
it's
wrote
okay.
it down wrong. I read it wrong. I'm so sorry. Carolyn Nadeau, Lisa Potts, first choice, Emily Goki, second choice. Lisa Winter, Lisa Potts, first choice, Lisa Shanel, second choice. No, you wrote 2 and, okay.
I did tally marks because you said you were doing
You did tally marks, so you confused me.
I'm so
Sorry.
Very
So just for the record, your
Yeah.
2 is actually your
She did
first
2
vote?
tally marks.
Yes.
Okay. Her first vote is Lisa Shanel, second vote Lisa Potts. It has been like 5 years since we've done this, so I'm sorry. So Lisa Shanel should have 2 tallies. And Lisa Potts should have 3. Got it. My tallies are correct. Ben Shear, Kim Senkow, first choice. Lisa Potts, second choice. Steve Bliss, Lisa Potts, first choice. Kim Senkow, second choice. Will Meyer, Kim Senkow, first choice. Lisa Potts, second choice. And we have a tie. I'm gonna go double check, but I think I have a tie.
Can you say the person's name and the first choice and second choice out loud again, just so that the board member can make sure that that is what they
Yes.
tagged.
Will Meyer, Kim Senkow, first choice, Lisa Potts, second choice.
Is that correct, Will?
Yes.
Steve Bliss, Lisa Potts, first choice, Kim Senkow, second choice. Ben Shear, Kim Senkow, first choice, Lisa Potts, second choice. Lisa Winter, Lisa Shanehouse, first choice, Lisa Potts, second choice. Carolyn Nadeau, Lisa Potts, first choice, Emily Goki, second choice. Mrs. B, Kim Senkow, first choice, Emily Goki, second choice. And I'm gonna give you back your ballots. And our process now is.
You wanna read off the total, the names of the
Yes.
four candidates and their total points?
Emily Goki, 2, Lisa Shanehouse, 2, Lisa Potts, 7, Kim Senkow, 7. So now you each get to vote for one, and I didn't do a second column because I was hoping this wasn't gonna happen, and I want you to write your choice. Or actually, no, circle your choice. Circle your choice, please, just one, that will be even easier and clearer.
We said we had 4 good ones, this kinda proves it, right?
I'm sure now you're.
Please don't make another one.
She's holding them.
Could be.
Great. Okay, just so you know, I'm starting out with a clear ballot. Mrs. B, Kim Senkow. Steve Bliss, Lisa Potts. Will Meyer, Kim Senkow. Lisa Winter, Lisa Potts. Ben Shear, Kim Senkow. Carolyn, Lisa Potts.
Steve, there can be communication between the next, but it's just gotta be public, and then we just gotta keep doing this, so. This happened last time, actually, that we had, not last time, but a couple ago, well, when you were.
When I was, that was a
So,
long time ago.
It just, speaks to the quality people we've got, so. You guys get to do this again?
We are open to discuss.
I'm gonna make copies,
Yeah.
make them.
There doesn't have to be discussion, but if there is, it's just got, we can't go into closed session, it's gotta be done public.
And we just keep voting until the tie's full, so someone's gonna change the mind.
Either keep voting or we can discuss. Tough, obviously, we really did have 4 good candidates. It's very, this happened to me 18 years ago. It's great.
At least that. I don't either.
Wish we held on to
And she's making more.
She's making more.
Does everybody have a piece of paper they can just rip off and write their name down?
I have
That'll help expedite.
Don't forget to put your name on it.
Steve, do you want?
Sure.
We may use those, Christie, they're all writing on just a scrap piece.
Say what?
Do you want, what do you want?
What are we doing?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Yeah.
What would you like us to do?
Whatever.
Oh, they're doing that.
Oh, we're
Your
doing
name's
that?
on it.
Oh,
Just have to identify who you can use that. Let Mrs. B and then whoever.
Yeah, you still have to put the.
No, we're not.
one and two?
No, just one person.
No, you just have to flip. Just gotta do it on your side.
Yeah, it is. Okay.
Mrs. B, Kim Senkow. Steve Bliss, Lisa Potts. Will Meyer, Kim Senkow. Carolyn Nadeau, Lisa Potts. Wait a minute, did I miss one? I thought I
Put them in a pile.
Way to get rid of the paper.
I didn't read Lisa's, did I? Lisa Winter, Lisa Potts. I read Will, I read Steve, I read Kim.
Oh, Mrs.
Ben Shear, Lisa Potts. I have 6 recorded, and I have 4 Lisa Potts and 1 Kim Senkow.
Can you just read the board
Yeah, you
member's
should have
name
2.
and their choice
should be
one
six.
more
Oh, I
time?
didn't do
There should be
that?
6 total. Well, it just.
Yeah. Lisa Winter, Lisa Potts. Will Meyer, Kim Senkow. Susan Burmeister, Kim Senkow. Steve Bliss, Lisa Potts. Ben Shear, Lisa Potts. Carolyn Nadeau, Lisa Potts.
Okay. We have selected a new board member.
Still need a motion as under new business.
Okay, that was not a fun process by any means, but I will need a motion to accept our new board member.
I move that we approve Lisa Potts as our new board member.
Support.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion?
It was a terrible choice, guys. It was really,
Thank you all
Yeah.
for
Yeah, thanks.
your interest.
Thanks you all for your interest.
And sitting through this.
Yeah, not a pretty process, but thank you. Any other discussion? Okay, the motion is for Lisa Potts to join the board. There is a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Okay. All right. Thank you all. Anybody wants to head out, you may, otherwise you may stick around. Lisa, we would ask that you will be on the agenda later on. Now we're gonna move back to our presentation for the middle school robotics and esports.
Ms. Schultz is here to introduce.
Oh, Wonderful.
It's not really a presentation, more of a celebration, I would say. And it's esports and middle school quiz bowl. So we were hoping to have some kids come, but it's pups and middle school track and all of the things. So just like most North Muskegon kids, our kids do all the things. So Derek Senko is here. He very, very graciously, his kiddo sent a very compelling, persuasive email to me asking if we could have an esports team. And how do you say no when a sixth grader comes up with an idea and brings a great dad to volunteer to help? So they piloted it. Derek did a ton of work, got equipment donated. I'm going to let him just, if you want to say a little something about how the season went.
Sure.
But kudos to him and the kids that did it, because it was a really awesome experience, and I think it's just going to grow. So do you want to say something about it?
Sure. Hi everybody, Derek Senko here if you don't know me already. As Ms. Schultz mentioned, that my son had this idea. He said, I want to see if North Muskegon can have an esports team because they don't really have one. And for those of you who, I think everybody knows what esports is, but essentially it's a sport in video games, basically. So, you compete against other schools through the state of Michigan, and it's a, sanctioned event where our kids come into the library. They, oh look, we have an esports kid with us right now. Wait. Do you wanna come up and talk about it a little bit? Sorry to put you on the spot. So what we did was we would get on the internet and we would compete against other schools for several different video games. There are 4 official video games. The one that was the most popular was a soccer game involving cars. Will's son is actually quite adept at it. It's called Rocket League. It's very popular and everybody really enjoys it. Robbie was a Mario Kart guy. Sorry to call you out there, Robbie. And Mario Kart is a Nintendo game where they play. So the exercise for Lowen was pretty simple, and Kim and I talked about it with each other, and we're like, well, this is a great experience for our son, because we want him to experience, if you will, a governmental situation where a constituent is coming forward with a request to the proper authorities, in this case, Jen. And so we said, reach out, see what she says, and it was his idea. So he wrote this email, and it was just such an amazing email. It's, I get a little misty-eyed when I think about just the way it was worded and everything. So sincere, it's ridiculous. So Jen responded and said, this is something that we've been wanting to do, but it needs effort and bandwidth. And so I brought the effort and I brought the bandwidth, and North Muskegon started their first esports team, first ever. We did, Kim and I sat through a seminar through the state of Michigan, and this is the part that's mind-blowing, is that we learned through the state of Michigan that last year with esports, $50 million in college scholarships were given out in esports. So our jaws hit the floor when we heard that. So now it's not funny anymore. It's like a real thing. And so what we found out, and I'll try to wrap this up, but how am I on time, you guys?
No worries.
All right, let me know once it gets bad. What we found out was that colleges are tapping into an entire demographic of students that they've never had access to before, because these kids are typically, somewhat antisocial, somewhat challenged when it comes to these things, and they do not do school participatory sports like that. In fact, in the seminar, one of the slides, and this is another jaw dropper, said that 70% of the kids who do over 70% of the kids who do esports as middle schoolers or high schools have never once in their lives done an extracurricular activity at their school before. And so I thought that was interesting, because that gives kids an opportunity to lead, communicate, and participate in something that they've never done before in their lives. And while we started with that, I thought, well, the state has 2 sessions. There's a spring session and a fall session. And we actually spun up the team, ironically, a few weeks into the spring session. So the time was now to jump in and get going. So we did what we could to get everybody up and running. And during that brief period of time, which I think is about a 6-week period, I really saw a dramatic improvement in the way that some of these kids were working together to solve problems and be a team. And I think because they've just never been exposed to that before. But I mean, some of the kids, not you, Robbie, who would be, you know, typically ones that I would see at other events, like say the daddy-daughter dance or something along those lines, would be, you know, shoegazing the whole time, standing in the corner and being non-participatory. Now they're up and cheering. Now they're cheering on their teammates. Now they're, you know, hollering and screaming. And sometimes I'm like, keep it down, guys. You know, it's like, don't get too out of control. But that's how excited they were, and that's how much participation there was. We had about a dozen kids. Now everybody tried really hard and did really well. At the end of the season, there is a playoff that occurs over the course of 2 weeks. We didn't make the playoffs. We missed the cut by 1 win, which was unfortunate, but considering that we started late in the season, that's pretty impressive. After the 2-week playoff period is finished, there's a state final somewhere. I think this year it's going to be at like Michigan State Stadium or Breslin or something along those lines. And over there will be recruiters from all over the country to recruit kids to play these games. And Kim and I actually, well, Kim, you know someone's kid who is actually now a professional gamer who went through scholarships.
Graduated from Northern scholarship from esports.
It's unbelievable. So anyhow, it was a great time. Everybody had fun. It was played here, and the support from Paul and Jen and the office staff and everyone else was overwhelming. I did not expect everyone to just be so accommodating with the situation and flexible. We stole the library from the drama club. I'll probably have to make some up for them. I learned the hard way about the library scheduling system. We'll get it right next time. So, thanks everybody. It was wonderful. And there's another season spinning up in fall, so I fully intend to continue on with that, and we'll see what happens.
Thanks,
Thanks, Eric.
Thanks not only for the update, but your participation. That is wonderful.
It was truly successful because of the man-hours and the organization, and that Derek and Kim did too, because it was definitely a team effort. So thank you for making history here, and we're excited to see it grow. So kind of along the same lines, I asked Kim Blastic, who stepped up and helped coach our high school quiz bowl team, which last year was the very first year we had high school quiz bowl, so this is our second year. And she also got roped into doing our first high school chess club team that competed and participated in middle school. We had some middle school kids too. So Kim very graciously was like, sure, I'll do it. I was like, I'll buy pizza if you coach. And so it worked out really well. But then she did such a great job with the high school kids. She was like, what do you think about doing a middle school quiz bowl? And I was like, let's do it. So we asked her to come. I don't know if you want to say a little something. Poor Robbie was also on that. And he's one of the kids, so he's like, Mom, he's not going to probably be happy. But just, again, kudos. Kim organized stuff. She worked with Brett Howard a little bit, like coordinated kids and schedules, and donated her time so that our students could have a really great experience. So like, we can't thank you enough for that either. So
I don't really have a lot to say other than we had 4 great middle schoolers that had never seen or heard of Quiz Bowl, and the other coaches are really what organized it. There isn't a middle school Quiz Bowl presence, so the high school coaches got together and were like, hey, let's just do this thing. So we ended up actually having to go to White Cloud because it was more schools on that side, and then Big Rapids, and they hosted one other night, but I was in California for work, so we couldn't go. But these guys were so brave and did such a great job. They ended up taking 3rd place and didn't even play one of the nights. So it was Jonas Slimko, Johnny English. He's an 8th grader. he rocked it. He's gonna be great in high school principal next year. And Steven Zombo, so we had 6th, 7th, and 8th grades. It was good, and I think the coaches will continue to. It's like non-sanctioned or something probably, but it was great.
Thank you.
If you've never been to a Frisbee match, you need to go. It is legit. Like, it's legit. So thank you, Derek and Kim, for helping our kiddos.
All right. Well, thank you for both of those. Back to new business. We're going to go into item 590, the second reading and approval of the SEAB recommendation of curriculum change.
Yep, as you all know, it's a tweak to the curriculum to meet state law. We did not receive any questions from the first reading, so it's ready to go for board approval.
Okay. Hearing that, I'd entertain a motion to approve the SEAB recommendation of curriculum change.
I move to approve the SAAB recommendation of curriculum change.
Support.
Okay, moved and supported. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed, say nay. That motion passes. Okay, moving to item 591, we have a hearing for a student expulsion.
Yep.
Kurt?
Yeah.
And this will be a roll call vote.
Yes, the student that's known to the board chose not to be here tonight, nor family representation, and did not request a closed session, so this all can happen and should happen in public, and there's no reason for the board to go into close unless choose to on this, but the family did not request that. So you have all the information. It is the recommendation of the administrative team that the resolution be approved today.
Okay.
Nobody likes these situations, but it's the right thing for our district in the eyes of the administrative team.
Do you have a resolution in your board packet? So that is what we would be approving by a roll call vote. I'll first need a motion and a support, and then we can open it up to any discussion, questions, but we need to remain nameless through that.
We'll make a resolution or a motion that we adopt the resolution for expulsion as presented.
Support.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion on this issue? Or if anybody would like to go into closed session? Hearing none, we'll take a vote. All those in favor of roll call, I am sorry. So roll call vote starting over here.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Motion passes. Okay. Okay, I think we're done with all the bad stuff.
Yeah, we get some fun stuff, huh?
All right.
With the,
It's Matt, right?
yes.
You're gonna be busy. Okay, next item on the agenda, item 592, approval of carpet and flooring request for proposal.
Yep. I'll knock out all three of them with a couple of comments, Steve, and then you guys can do what you gotta do. So Matt is here if there's any questions. However, all of the bid information and packets are in your board packet, and it's exciting. We're starting to make some purchases with what our voters approved last November. So work will start this summer, and this gets that ball rolling. So it's exciting. Abatement, obviously with an old building, you've got to check to make sure that there's not areas that need to be cleaned up. We had a few, actually not as many as we thought going in, and which is a great thing. So that work will happen first. It's all under all the guidelines that they have to follow, and then we will have painters being chased by carpet and flooring people throughout the whole summer, so that we're ready to go when school comes back in session. exciting. We're gonna start, you guys will start to see more of the purchases now with the bonds, because the projects are starting.
And I would just add for the board's benefit, all of these come with the recommendation of the finance committee for approval.
If I may, I'd like to move that we approve all 3 RFP items, which are number 592, 593, and 594, as presented in our packet.
Support.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve items 592, 593, 594 as grouped. Any further discussion? Or does anybody oppose voting on all 3 at once? Hearing none, let's take a vote. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Our 3 items carry. Approval of the superintendent evaluation. I hope you have the letter in here.
You didn't send me a letter.
I gave it to Kurt.
You did.
You always read that.
Do you want me to
Well,
look at my emails?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that would be
Sorry.
great. I thought
to me.
you asked and I said I gave it to Kurt.
He did. I think it's on my desk. And it really
Oh, I
was a nice
misinterpreted
letter. I'm
you.
not sure why I didn't ask him.
I misinterpreted your
We'll remember
response, I'm
that.
sorry.
All your hard work.
Oh, I don't have,
I asked if it was ready and you said yes.
Whatever the
I have it.
suggestions were from Will.
Oh. Are we gonna read it verbatim or?
Why don't we
Yes.
table
Why don't
the
we just-
item
You-
until
I mean-
next,
Read
Or if
it.
you've got the, all you usually do is just read the letter.
Yeah,
right,
I mean, that was your original letter.
okay.
my modification, very minor.
Okay, this is our letter from the board to Kurt Babcock, Dr. Babcock. North Muskegon Board of Education conducted its annual evaluation of you as their superintendent of North Muskegon Public Schools. The board reviewed your performance in the following categories: board relations, community relations, staff relations, business and finance, personal and job performance qualities, and student performance. Your performance as superintendent was determined to meet or exceed expectations in all areas. You have built an exceptional administration and teaching staff through the continual changes within the North Muskegon community and education. It was one of the changes, education environments.
No, I don't think it
It wasn't industry.
It wasn't.
Mrs. B asked for a change.
Oh.
We challenge you to continue to develop all of them into even stronger pillars of your organization, striving to provide the best education possible to the students at NMPS. You have done a tremendous job nurturing a wonderful city-school relationship, allowing for very strategic partnerships where necessary in such a small district and community as ours. Continue to focus on all other opportunities to consolidate and coordinate with others to run NMPS even more efficiently while providing superior student performance and student opportunities that aren't offered at other small districts. We congratulate you on another successful year at the helm of a very complex and ever-changing organization and environment. And we look forward to working side by side with you for the years to come. Sincerely, North Muskegon Board of Education. Thank you. So, that is officially written into the public, and I would like a motion and a support to approve the evaluation.
I move that we approve the superintendent's evaluation.
I support. Okay, motion and second. Any further discussion? Hearing none. I'll
Well,
take-
I guess I'll just quick say, we've got actually a little bit of an audience tonight, which is kind of nice. We don't normally have a whole lot of folks here. We we go through this evaluation, we've been doing it obviously for a long time, and we get materials ahead of time and review them, and then we sit together for an hour and a half, 2 hours, and go through a whole series of different things. And the people that interviewed tonight, ask some questions about what do board members do and how do you keep involved. And that's actually one of the better board member moments is when you get to do that. It really generates some good conversation and works to go moving things forward. So it's something that's an interesting process when you become a board member, but also for the community to know that it's a pretty thorough process, and then the board president then meets afterwards with Kurt and goes through it, and then follows up with that. It sort of becomes the plan for the year and follow up on that. So it's a good process, and we take it seriously, and so does Kurt. He always has little notes and how, the suggestions that we might have. So it's a good process and something that I think is one of the more valuable things that we do as a board.
Thank you. Okay. We have a motion and a second. All those in favor of approving the superintendent evaluation, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. We're gonna switch to item 597, early graduation.
Jen just left, so, yeah, she had to handle something going on. Tina, do you want to take the floor and introduce our early grad, and the board already has the packet
do
of
have a
information,
letter
so. it'd be
and her
more just to-
transcript.
Hi,
Just to introduce her.
I'm Tina, I'm your high school counselor. This is Addison Lopez and her mother. Addison is in the cohort of 2025, but she has written a letter to Academic Affairs and to you to graduate in 2024. I think her transcript is also there.
Yes.
Academic Affairs met, and without speaking for Academic Affairs, I feel like there was a positive response to the letter. Any questions for
And there's-
Addison or for I?
Yeah, Addison's here, and then the board has the full packet from Jen and Tina, so.
I just wanted to comment, Addison, I think this was an unbelievable letter. We discussed it briefly ahead of the meeting. I appreciate the heartfelt thoughts that were put into this, and appreciate you taking the time. Now we gotta go through a little process here.
All right, well, I will move to approve the early graduation request by Addison Lopez.
Support.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion or questions? Hearing none, I'll take it to a vote. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, please say nay. Motion carries.
Congratulations. Well done.
Good luck.
Congratulations.
And I see you're representing there with your sweatshirt.
Yeah. That was planned.
And congratulations on being accepted already.
Enjoy Big Rapids, do well.
Okay, the last item to business is the swearing in of a new board member.
And we have our notary to do that.
So Lisa.
Lisa, if you could come forward, please.
Do you hereby, first it's acceptance of office and then the oath of office. Do you accept the office of member of Board of Education of North Muskegon Public Schools?
I do.
Okay. Now raise your right hand and repeat after me, and I'll try to break it up as much as possible.
Okay.
I do solemnly swear or affirm
I do solemnly swear or affirm
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of this state,
and the Constitution of this state,
and that I will faithfully discharge the duties
and I will faithfully discharge the duties
of the office of member
of the office of member
of the Board of Education
of the Board of Education
of North Muskegon Public Schools,
of North Muskegon Public Schools,
Muskegon County,
Muskegon County,
Michigan, according to the best of my ability.
Michigan according to the best of my ability.
And just like that, sign in blood and you're a board member.
Right.
Sign it, sign it. You're a board member. And you'll be hearing from me more this week.
Okay.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
With that, we'll go into board comments. Start with Kurt today.
What a night. There was a lot on that agenda. I think I speak for everybody, but thank you, all four of you. When we saw who we were dealing with, we knew we were gonna be in good hands no matter what happened tonight, so thank you. And then, I mean this wholeheartedly. When you guys do my evaluation, it's humbling. I'm very, very fortunate. I shared this with Steve. I'm very, very fortunate to be the superintendent of schools of North Muskegon, and I do take it serious, and but try to have some fun along the way. And I appreciate working with all of you. And Lisa, it's going to be great to get to know you a little bit more too. So, welcome.
That's it.
I don't want to cry. Keep going.
Thank you for all you do, for everybody here. And congratulations, and thank you for coming tonight. Appreciate that. It's nice to have people here. Thank you.
Yeah, I'll reiterate, thank you for everybody that showed an interest in the school. And I've said this I'm not from North Muskegon, so I didn't grow up in a district like this. And I think it really is all four of you mentioned that. It's really what makes this district what it is the community that supports it. It really is a connection there. And the fact that when there is an opening, we got really qualified people that want to be on the board and offer their services. So thank you all for that. Kurt, congratulations on another nice review, well deserved. That's it.
I don't have much to add, but I'm going to say it anyway. Thank you all four for going through that process. Congratulations, condolences, not sure which, Lisa, but welcome. Derek, thank you. That's a great presentation, and thanks for and Kim for all the work you've been doing behind the scenes with esports, and hopefully it's something that'll gain more traction and get more kids involved in schools. So, and Kurt, thank you. It's always a good meeting. So.
I would echo everything that has been said already, but I would like to add another thanks to Derek and to Kim Blastic for adding more opportunities for our students to participate in things that they enjoy and at a competitive level. Some of these things that's obviously was new to me that was something, so I think that's great, and with the quiz bowl and everything too. So I appreciate our fantastic parent involvement. Thank you.
I would echo all of that. If you could tell my 8-year-old self that Mario Kart was going to be like a school-sponsored thing, oh my god, my little mind would be blown. Welcome, Lisa. Yeah, I just don't really have a lot to say. Congratulations, graduating early, and go Norse.
Certainly echo everything that was said to my point, to my position here, but I think it's always fun being the last person, right? What new can I say? But I think really I love, and I said this last time, I love the momentum. I love that we're executing on the bond. We have this new bond. I think I'm hoping the community is going to embrace it. I think they are, from what I hear, and that's just going to, our kids will benefit, and it just will feed the whole community.